Let me ask you something deeply personal. Have you ever been loved in silence? Not the loud, dramatic, attention-hungry kind of love, but the quiet, unshakable, soul-deep kind of love. The kind that doesn't always show up in words, but speaks through action, patience, and presence. Close your eyes for a second and think about that one woman who made you feel understood. Even in your silence, can you see her? Maybe she's still by your side. Maybe she's only a memory. But one thing's for sure. When a woman truly loves you, her love doesn't need to shout. It simply is. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button, because what we're about to discuss could change your love life forever. Watch this video till the end. I promise it's written for you. Point 1. She respects his solitude. There's a kind of man who doesn't always speak, not because he has nothing to say, but because he has everything to think about. He's not distant, he's disciplined. He's not cold, he's composed. And in today's loud, overstimulated world, that kind of man is rare. Maybe that man is you. Let me tell you a story. His name was Daniel. He was the kind of man who didn't fill the room with noise. He filled it with presence. When he walked into a space, people didn't just hear him, they felt him. But Daniel had a ritual. Every morning before the sun came up, he'd sit alone on the balcony. No phone, no music, just him and his thoughts. Most women didn't understand this. They'd ask, "Why don't you talk to me? Why don't you let me in?" But then came Elise. She didn't ask questions. She made coffee, placed it quietly beside him, and walked away. That was love. Because you see, real love doesn't always need words. Stoic love, the kind rooted in ancient wisdom, understands that solitude isn't a rejection. It's a reflection. Marcus Aurelius himself said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." And a woman who truly loves you knows this. She doesn't interrupt your silence. She honors it. She doesn't try to fill your quiet with chatter. She respects the discipline it takes to face your own mind, and in doing so, she becomes part of your sanctuary, not a disturbance to it. Think back to your own life. Have you ever had a woman who just got it? Who didn't flinch when you withdrew for a while? Who didn't take your silence personally, but instead saw it as a sign of strength? That's the kind of woman who loves you not just for who you are, but for who you're trying to become. In a world that glorifies attention, real women of value understand solitude is sacred. They don't demand constant contact, and while they offer silent support. And that, my friend, is not weakness, that is wisdom. So the next time you find yourself alone with your thoughts, ask yourself this: is there someone who's willing to sit in that silence with you? Not to break it, but to honor it? If there is, you're more loved than most men ever realize. And if not, maybe this video will help you find her. Let's move to the next point. Point 2. She embraces his purpose over possession. Every man on a mission knows the cost of greatness. It's not popularity. It's not pleasure. It's purpose. And that path is often a lonely one. But once in a while, if you're lucky, you'll meet a woman who doesn't want to own your time. She wants to honor your direction. I want to tell you about a man named Leo. He was a builder, not just of homes, but of visions. He worked late, rose early, and chased dreams that often left him misunderstood. Most women he dated made him choose them or the goal. But then came Ava. She didn't demand his time. She didn't compete with his purpose. She respected it, supported it, and slowly, she became a part of it. Ava understood something rare, that true love doesn't ask a man to abandon his calling. It amplifies it. You see, modern relationships often fall apart because of insecurity. When a man is focused, people call him distant. When he's driven, they call him unavailable. But a woman who truly loves you doesn't feel threatened by your ambition. She wants to see you rise. This is where Stoicism guides us. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." A Stoic man defines his path clearly, and a woman who loves him, she clears the way, not clutters it. Ava didn't wait by the phone. She worked on herself. She didn't sulk in silence. She learned his world. She didn't beg for attention. She respected the difference between a distraction and a destiny. Think about your life. Have you ever been asked to shrink your dreams to fit into someone else's comfort zone? Have you ever had to slow down so someone else wouldn't feel left behind? The woman who truly loves you, she won't pull you back. She'll push you forward, not with pressure, but with presence. Love in its highest form doesn't bind. It builds, it doesn't cage, it creates. So the next time you feel torn between your path and your partner, ask yourself, is she fighting for your attention or for your potential? Because the woman who truly loves you won't try to possess you. She'll want to walk beside you, not behind, not in front, but beside. And that, my brother, is the kind of love that doesn't slow you down. It sets you free. Let's move to the next point. Point 3, she doesn't test his emotions, she honors his discipline. Have you ever been in love with someone who made you feel like you constantly had to prove it? Where every silence became suspicious, every calm response was labeled as cold, and every act of restraint was seen as weakness? Let me tell you about a man named Elias. He had been through storms in life, not just outside, but within. He wasn't quick to anger, and not because he didn't feel, but because he'd trained himself, over years of quiet suffering, to master his emotions rather than be ruled by them. He'd learned what Marcus Aurelius taught. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. But you know what broke Elias the most in past relationships? It wasn't betrayal. It wasn't rejection. It was the endless emotional games. The test, the push and pull, the manufactured drama meant to extract proof that he cared, until he met Isla. She was different. She didn't throw silent tantrums to provoke him. She didn't weaponize her emotions to drag him into chaos. When he responded with calm, she didn't call him distant, she called him strong. She understood that a man who doesn't erupt isn't numb. He's noble. You see, a woman who truly loves a man doesn't test his emotions, she trusts them. Stoic men are often misunderstood. People think they're indifferent, emotionless, but the truth is, they feel deeply. They've simply learned to carry their storms in silence, not to hide, but to protect. A man who chooses stillness over shouting, who steps back before reacting, who feels the fire but doesn't burn others with it. That's not weakness. That's warriorship. And a woman in love with such a man doesn't poke at his peace to see if he'll crack. She protects it. She doesn't beg for emotional chaos. She honors his emotional discipline. Isla never said, "Why don't you just show me more?" Instead, she said, "I see the strength it takes to remain calm when you could collapse." That one sentence meant more to Elias than any tearful demand for attention ever could. Think back. Have you ever had to apologize for being calm? For walking away instead of yelling back? For being the man who held the storm instead of unleashing it? Then maybe you've been punished for your peace. But the woman who loves you won't punish your peace. She'll cherish it, because she understands that discipline is not the absence of emotion, it is the mastery of it. And mastery is love's greatest gift. So ask yourself this: is she trying to provoke the storm within you, or is she the shelter from it? If she's the latter, hold on to her. Let's move to the next point. Point 4, she values growth, not control. There's a silent kind of control that creeps into relationships, not through force, but through fear. Fear of losing, fear of change, fear that if you grow too much, you might grow away. But let me tell you something real. Any love that tries to contain you isn't love. It's possession dressed in passion. And a man cannot rise while being chained, no matter how soft the chains may feel. There was a man named Julian, quiet, thoughtful, stoic, a man who had outgrown the boy he used to be. He spent his nights reading, learning, building himself, not just for money, but for mastery. But every time he evolved, his partner made him feel guilty. She'd say things like, "You've changed," as if it were a crime. And then he met Mira. Mira didn't fear his growth, she fed it. She didn't flinch when he became more disciplined. She didn't resent his new standards. She didn't mock his books, his silence, or his hunger for better. Instead, she matched it with her own. Because real love isn't about control, it's about contribution. Stoic philosophy reminds us that change is the essence of life. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." And a woman aligned with your soul doesn't fight change. She flows with it. Mira saw something many overlook, that the man she fell in love with was becoming. Not finished, not final. And instead of freezing him in who he was when they met, she gave him the freedom to evolve into who he was meant to be. She didn't say, "Stay close." She said, "Go further, I'll meet you there." Can you feel the difference? Control whispers, "Don't grow too much. You might leave me behind." But growth says, "I'll grow with you, so we never have to part." Think about your own path. Have you ever held back your transformation just to keep the peace? Have you ever lowered your standards to stay digestible? Have you ever clipped your own wings just to stay within reach? Then you haven't been loved. You've been managed. But the woman who truly loves you doesn't fear your growth. She trusts it. Because she knows your evolution isn't a threat to the relationship. It's the fuel for it. She knows that a man who outgrows his past is a man who can carry a future. So ask yourself this: is she trying to keep you small, or is she pushing you to expand? Because when a woman loves a man for who he's becoming, not just who he's been, that's not control. That's courageous love. And it might just be the rarest kind of all. Let's move to the next point. Point 5. She speaks with loyalty, not just words. Words are cheap. You've heard that before, right? And yet, we still fall for them. The sweet nothings, the poetic promises, the convenient confessions of "I love you" when it's easy, when things are good. But real love? Stoic love? It doesn't just say, it stays. Let me tell you about a man named Aaron. He was strong, composed, but private. The kind of man who never liked to explain himself twice. When things got hard, he didn't explode. He withdrew. Not because he didn't care, but because he didn't want to harm with words he couldn't take back. His ex, she didn't understand. She'd shout louder when he grew quiet. She'd call his silence disrespect, his boundaries weakness. But then came Lena. Lena didn't just say she loved him. She proved it, when it was inconvenient to do so. When Aaron went through a storm, the loss of a job, a betrayal by someone close, a period of depression, Lena didn't flee. She didn't demand emotional performances. She didn't threaten to leave every time things got hard. She stood still. You see, Stoicism teaches us the power of presence. Epictetus said, "It is difficulties that show what men are." But I'd argue, it also shows what kind of woman you have. Anyone can love you when you're laughing. But who stays when your world goes quiet? Loyalty, real loyalty, isn't loud. It's steady. It's the woman who defends your name when you're not in the room. It's the one who doesn't entertain gossip about you, who shuts it down, not because she's afraid of losing you, but because she honors who you are. In today's world, loyalty is almost seen as weakness, like being too devoted is foolish. But that's only because most people are terrified of standing still. For someone who's standing in fire, Lena wasn't a saint. She had her flaws, but her loyalty made her rare. She didn't just recite pretty phrases. She made her loyalty visible in the way she listened when Aaron had no words, in the way she stayed when most would run, in the way she didn't use his darkest moments as leverage against him later. That is loyalty, and that is love. So ask yourself, has anyone ever loved you like that? And more importantly, have you let them? Because sometimes we're so used to betrayal, we push away the very thing we claim to want. We test loyalty until it breaks, and then mourn it like it left on its own. But a woman who speaks with loyalty doesn't need to prove herself through speeches. She proves herself through silence, through stillness, through staying. And if you've got someone like that, protect her, because loyalty like that doesn't come around twice. Let's move to the final point. Point 6. She guards his peace, not just his ego. There's something sacred about a man's peace. It's not about silence, it's about stillness. That rare inner calm he builds after years of battle, after heartbreak, after failure, after being misunderstood more times than he can count. A man's peace is hard-earned and easily disturbed. Most women want to stroke his ego, to praise him when it suits them, to make him feel like a king when he performs. But the woman who truly loves him, she's not focused on feeding his pride. She's focused on protecting his peace. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Malik. He didn't chase attention. He didn't react to drama. He simply wanted a life of focus, purpose, and quiet strength. But most of the women he met mistook his calm for weakness. They'd pick fights just to feel passion. They'd poke at his peace just to test his love, until he met Zara. Zara wasn't impressed by noise. She admired stillness. She didn't start battles to feel close. She created calm to build intimacy. When Malik came home from the world's chaos, she didn't bring more of it. She became the refuge. That is Stoic love. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke." A wise woman doesn't add to your distress. She helps you rise above it. She doesn't just make you feel like a man, she reminds you that your peace is worth more than performance, more than ego, more than approval. You know what that looks like? It's the woman who knows when to speak and when to stay silent, who doesn't turn small issues into wars, who understands that every man needs space not to escape her, but to return to himself. She doesn't nag, she nurtures, she doesn't provoke, she protects. In a world where chaos is constant and noise is endless, the woman who guards your peace is rare. She's not trying to win arguments, she's trying to win with you. And that kind of woman, she doesn't just want a place in your bed, she wants a place in your life. So ask yourself this, brother, does she protect your peace or pierce it? Because the woman who guards your peace is guarding you. And if you found her, don't let the noise of the world make you forget her value. Here's the truth. Real love doesn't scream. It doesn't manipulate. It doesn't seek to own or perform. It simply is. It's shown through respect, support, loyalty, and peace. The kind of love a Stoic man quietly dreams of. Not because he's weak, but because he's strong enough to know what truly matters. In a world obsessed with attention and ego, the woman who sees you, not just your strengths but your silence, your mission, your discipline, your flaws, and that woman is a gift. So cherish her. And if you haven't found her yet, don't lower your standards, elevate yourself. Become the kind of man whose presence demands depth, not drama. Because Stoic love isn't passive, it's powerful. And when two people come together, not to fix each other, but to free each other, that's the kind of love that outlasts everything. Thank you for watching. If this message spoke to your soul, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who needs to hear this, someone who may be quietly loving or silently waiting to be loved. And in the comments below, tell me, have you ever been loved like this? Or are you still waiting? Until next time, guard your peace, honor your purpose, and never settle for a love that doesn't see the man you're becoming. Stay stoic.